Hello, everyone. It's your girl B. Dylan coming back at you with part 4 of my Cinco de Mayo series where we discuss a little bit more about the history of tequila. And I just had to, it was time. As my boy Rafiki said, it is time for the refill. So, if you're drinking with me, I hope you got your refill on too. Don't forget to drink responsibly and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're really digging this series because I would like to bring a lot more like this content to you guys. So everything that you guys can do to help me out helps me to produce and helps me to keep going. Anywho, diving into part 4, as we discussed in part 3, we're going to talk a little bit about Cinco de Mayo and its history in Mexico. Like, how did that happen? Where did it come from? And I wanted to start out by dispelling one big misconception. Cinco de Mayo is not the celebration of Independence Day in Mexico, okay? And I'm saying this because your girl was uneducated, and I used to think that they were one and the same, and they're not. So this is part of the reason that I really felt passionate about doing this series is to bring a little more education to people who, like myself, might not always know what we're celebrating or have been a little more misguided and have taken what people have made a popular opinion and turned it into fact, and that's not actually what it is. Anywho, so the real point of Cinco de Mayo is actually that it is a day where there was a battle that was won, and it was more like a rallying cry. Like you just needed that moment. So let's get into exactly what happened. So in 1861, you have this guy, Benito Juarez, and he gets elected the president of Mexico, which claps for him. It's your day, bro. Except kind of not, because Mexico is going through some financial situationships. They didn't have some infighting. Things have not been going as well as Mexico wanted to at that point in time. They weren't making the money that they needed to make, and financially they had fallen on hard times. Now, this is a problem, as anybody knows, when you fall on financial hard times, because you probably owe somebody money or you got a bill to pay. And they did. And they actually had a bill to pay to 3 people: Britain, France, and Spain. Now, all 3 of these people are powerhouses. So they do what you do when somebody owe you money. You pull up and you ask, knock, knock, where's our funds? Because you were supposed to be sending a check. We never got the check. What's the check? Where's the check? So they pull up on Mexico, as you do with your naval squads. And they go, we want our money. we want our money, but we love y'all, but we want our money. And Mexico goes, yo, really? We want to pay y'all. Like, nobody wants to be broke out here and owing anybody, but truth be told, we don't got your money. We don't have it. Can we work something out? And Britain and Spain kind of go, probably thinking in their minds, it's always best to have somebody who owes you something, because you can always, run up on them when you win tough times and be like, hey, remember. So they negotiate, they work some stuff out, and they go, cool, it's all right. We'll deal with it. We'll get some paperwork drawn up. We make some negotiations. And Britain and Spain basically take their naval forces on back to where they came from, and they pull back and they go home. France, on the other hand, does not do that. And part of the reason for this is that at the time, France is under the leadership of this guy, you might have heard of him, Napoleon Bonaparte. And if you've heard anything about Napoleon, then you know that he is credited with having a complex about being a gentleman who was of shorter stature and having to deal with the fact that his counterparts were generally a little bit taller than him, although history does say that he wasn't actually that short. And it was probably more just like a mental complex of needing to be the big man in charge, which we all know people like that. Anywho, long story short, Napoleon might have been a big conqueror. He might have had this whole complex about being the big man in charge, but he was smart. And he kind of goes, you know what, they poor right now, which means they probably don't have a lot going for them in the army status. They owe us money. They're not trying to pay. And this is the perfect time for me to go ahead and roll up on them without looking like a bully and take their land. I'm just going to take their land. And so he tries it. He tries it. In late 1861, he says, all right, we going to roll onto this land. And he sends about 6,000 troops to roll through. Now, the thing about it is he sent his troops into Veracruz, and at the time, the government was just not ready. So, Benito, him and his people, they have to pack their shit up and dip. They just had not been prepared for France to react the way that they did. And France was right. If you're on financially hard times, you really don't have enough money to be out here producing mass weapons and things. So Mexico just was not prepared to rebuff that first attack. And France, on their high, goes, okay, so we've already kind of basically pushed them out of their little capital or whatever. We might as well finish the job. So they go ahead and they storm this area. 6,000 troops storm this area called Puebla de los Angeles. But the thing about it is Benito Juarez, being the president of this country and knowing that he has an obligation to his people, he goes, we're not going down like that. We're not. And as anyone knows, a man who is fighting for his home, who is fighting to protect his people, his countrymen, usually has so much more heart and so much more gumption that they're going to bring to the table than somebody who's fighting on foreign soil for somebody else's problem, for somebody else's gains, you know? And so Benito gathers up these 2,000 guys and he takes them to Puebla and he goes, look, we're going to hold it down right here. Like, we lost Veracruz. They think they got us on the run, but we're going to hold it down. Whatever we got to do, we hold it down here. And they do. And on the 5th of May in 1862, when the troops of France, 6,000 troops, stormed, so 6,000 to 2,000, Juarez's people held it down. These 2,000 Mexican soldiers, they weren't even actually all soldiers. It was like a ragtag group of men who said, it ain't going down like that. Hold it down for this Puebla, this little town, and only suffered 100 losses in comparison to France's 500. Now, France is like, okay, look, we're not Britain, and we're not about to have a bunker/Breeds Hill situation where we lose thousands of men trying to take this little small town. So they basically turn around and defeat. They say, okay, y'all got that. They routed us. Y'all held y'all ground. And not only that, but you sustained less loss than us. 4 times less losses than us. So we lost. They call it a loss. And they ate that. And this is important because when they ate that, Mexico realized that, hey, we have backbone. We have heart. We may not have the biggest army. We may not have all the best weapons. We may not even have, like, you know what I mean, the best strategists at our head. Our presidente might not know exactly what he's doing. But you know what we do have? We have our homes. We have our children that we want to bequeath these homes to. And we have a reason to fight. And it was a rallying moment. And it was a rallying cry for the country. And even for people who were living outside of the country at that time, living in Texas, living in America, realized that, you know, Mexico was making a stand. Mexico was actually standing up for itself against what was supposed to be a superpower country at that time. Now, what would end up happening is this would give them the strength to sustain for the next couple of years if they had to go back and forth with Spain, if they had to deal with this, like, other big empire trying to, you know, step in and colonialize an already colonized country. And in 1867, America would eventually, you know what I mean, be able, because we had our own civil war going on, we had our own issues, be able to finally be like a good neighbor to our neighbors in Mexico and go, hey, yo, France, you keep on punching on them and we're going to come over there and punch on you. How about that? We'll punch on you from the other side. And when that happened and when political pressure started being applied, France said, you know what? Whatever. It's a bad game. It's so far across the sea anyway. Like, how would we really even hold this down? So in 1867, Mexico finally does get their independence. So that is why it's important to understand that Cinco de Mayo is not the celebration of the independence of Mexico, like a lot of people believe it is, but it is very important to Mexican history, and it is still acknowledged by Mexican people because it is a moment in time where as a people and as a country, they said, damn it, we're not just going to let ourselves be bullied. We're not just going to take what are the facts and let those numbers dictate whether or not we win. And they came out on top, and they won, and they showed the rest of the people in their country that we just have to fight, that we just have to hold on, and eventually we can win. So I just want to give a big cheers to Mexico for that. And I hope that I've helped you guys come to a bit of a better understanding about this holiday that we're over here celebrating in America. And to that end, if you want to know a little bit more about exactly why we celebrate the holiday in America, definitely go ahead and swing over to part 5 of my series, because it's Cinco de Mayo, so we're doing 5 videos today. And make sure that you end it off with me. Get the rest of your drink on. If you are staying boozy with me, do so responsibly. Don't be driving. And like, comment, and subscribe on this video so that I know to keep going. All right, y'all. Cheers.